Okay, thank you so much for allowing me to, put this out there. I want to help you, and this is also for all the people who, are struggling with kanji and who want to, learn how to make it faster. So, I shall begin. And what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna I'm gonna share this there. Okay, instead. So basically, the way that you can learn kanji very quickly is to understand that there are kanji families. And this kanji family that I'm kind of pointing at right now, um, you'll see that this symbol, which is a carpenter square, it's in every single like kanji here. And you'll also notice that the pronunciation, this is the Chinese pronunciation, by the way, it's always the same. Ko, 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 ko. So basically, you can learn 9 kanji by just understanding like there's one kanji that kind of is the head of all these families, and you see how they relate. Okay, so I'm going to do this very quickly. I'm just going to explain how the English relates to what you see, and then we're just going to do a rapid fire thing. So this is a picture of a carpenter square, and it represents work. So they did a lot of things with carpenter squares a long time ago, back in ancient Asia. Well, they would attack other people with it. That's one thing. And then they also used it to create beautiful things. So they used it for skill, as a symbol of skill. Merit, so good work. It represented good work. Clause. Now, clause in English, it represents the idea of like being the head of something, being the main focus. And this here represents like how carpentry would often be kind of like in the forefront of things. So that's clause. Inlet. These here, inlet, red, tribute, and refrain. I'm going to go over them a little bit more in depth, but let's look at how these work. So the way kanji works usually is that it's like a 1+1 equation. You just have the family head, this thing, and you add it with another thing. So when you add it with hand with a stick, so this is a picture of a hand with a stick, this means to attack. You add it with, this one is seaweed. That was really kind of like unstraight. They would use these things to straighten things out. This is skill. A merit, you have power, which is like a bicep.
Chikara.
You're really strong, so this is merit. This is the head. I mentioned the head earlier, but this is the forefront of everything, the claws. This here's water. You'll see water a lot, and this is just a pictograph. How an inlet, it kind of looks like a carpenter square when the water's going into shore, so that's an inlet. This is thread. You'll see thread a lot also. This represents the blood that carpenters would usually have when they're working on their thing. So when you have carpenter square and thread, this means red. And then this
Mhm.
thing right here on the bottom, this is a picture of a seashell. And a seashell means money. Basically, that's how people would like exchange value a long time ago. So when you have the carpenter square and you have the seashell, this is tribute. Um, Last one, refrain. This one is really, really cool. Um, on the top right is a picture of a hole or a gap. Second is the carpenter square. And the third one here, this is a picture of a forceful hand. I like to call it the aggressive hand because it just does a lot of forceful and aggressive things. In this picture, it's a picture of actually, if you look at the carpenter square, it's used like a bow and arrow. So when you pull back a bow and an arrow and you use it, you pull back the string and there's a gap. So that's why you have the gap here, the hole. And when you're aiming before you let go of the bow and arrow, you're refraining from letting the arrow fly. So you're just holding it. And that's what this is a picture of, to refrain. So that's what these 9 kanji are. Basically, work, attack, skill, merit, clause, inlet, red, tribute, and refrain. So
And all that they have in common is that they have the first one, which is work.
that's correct. Yes. And they're all connected. And so what I'm going to be doing for the next for the next 191 kanji is like you can use what I just told you with this, and you can do the same thing with all of the other ones that I'm going to show you. But I'm going to go over more importantly the different radicals. And you'll start seeing these radicals over and over and over and over again until you're like, oh my gosh, it's so easy. I'm seeing it again. I'm seeing the aggressive hand again. I'm seeing the thread again. I'm seeing water again. And you will see this so much in 200 kanji. The 200 kanji I'm going to show you that you'll be like, what the heck? This is easy. So that's what I'm doing. I'm trying to show it to you so that you're like, oh my god, it's easy. I get it. Okay, so let's
Can't wait.
yeah. Okay, so now what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna go faster. You can use this video to like understand how they all kind of fit together, but I'm gonna go over just what the radical is next to the family head. So let's begin. Okay, so this here on the left, this is a hill. This is earth. This is woman. This is body or flesh. This can also mean moon also. I'll get more into that later, but for now, it's body or flesh. This
Hmm.
is thread. So the same thing as this. It's like, oh, I'm already starting to see like, so that's thread. This is a door. I went over this with you earlier, the door, but yep, it's the door again. Now it means room. And then you have a person. I like to imagine somebody kicking, like a high kick. So this is person. This is to
So
stand.
so that also means hito.
Yes, yes, that is the kanji for person. Hito, jin, yes. So that's for this. So we have the hill.
Oh wait, now I see. It's just that it's structured differently
Uh-huh.
when it becomes more complex. The kanji. Okay, now I see it. Now I
Yes,
see
that's correct. Quick note is that when you put kanji to the side, it changes slightly. It won't be exactly the same. I will go ahead and guide you, and I'll tell you when it like this changes. Because like heart also changes when it's on the side versus when it's on the bottom of a kanji. So I'll make sure I let you know. So let's go over this really quick so you can see like already the patterns. You have a hand with a stick, seaweed, strength, head, water, thread, money or seashell, and then you have aggressive hand and a hole. You will see this combination again, the aggressive hand and the hole. Here we have hill, earth, we have woman, body, thread, door, person, and stand. Okay, so now we're going to keep going. Okay, I'm going to explain this very quickly. So this is a picture of a well. It's a picture of a well. So when it turned into blue, the thing in the bottom, it was supposed to look like this, but they miscopied it. So this is supposed to be a well, and on top is supposed to be a plant. And a plant and well together represents blue. This idea of blue or green, actually, because like the plant and the well are blue and green, but mostly it means blue. So that's the idea of blue. So when you have blue and you have water, you have pure. Blue and sun, clear, like clear skies. Blue and rice, this represents like energy, so spirit. Blue and words, you have request. And you have blue, and this is a picture of somebody who stops someone from punching another person. So there's a hand that grabs a person from punching another person. So this represents like being um, being calm, not fighting, stopping yourself from fighting. So that's why this means quiet. So is everything good so far? Makes sense?
Mhm. Um, I'm the. Can you point again? The the which kanji is the hand?
The hand, oh, this one here. Yes.
Oh, that one. Okay, got it. Yeah, yeah. I see it now.
Yes. So I'll
Like,
make this even
like,
easier too.
like.
There is a kanji like this. This is yo. So this is the picture of the hand, and it's stopping the other hand from punching somebody else. So
Okay, got it. Yeah, like eh. Sometimes some are difficult to spot, but yeah, if for the most part, I can see most of them.
Cool. Okay, awesome. I'll be going through this fast, but hopefully in the video, when you rewatch it, you'll be able to get it
Exactly. Yeah.
again. So we'll go fast for now, but you can always look back and you'll be like, oh my gosh, 200 kanji, here we go. Um,
Yeah.
so this
I'll
is
try not to interrupt too much.
okay, cool, awesome. And if you ever have a question, feel free. So okay, I'll keep going. So next is summon. So this is a picture of somebody going like this with their hand. They're like saying, "Come on, come," and then this is their mouth. So this is shoal. So by itself, it means summon. When you have water, it turns into swamp. Aggressive hand or forceful hand, you're inviting somebody. When you have a sun, it means bright. Have thread that connects, you're introducing. When you have it with words, this is an imperial edict. So in China, if you're the emperor, you had an imperial order. This is you're summoning somebody with your imperial edict. And then illuminate. So this is bright with the sun, but now you have fire underneath here. So when you have sun and fire together, that makes illuminate. So that's for that. All right, we're already at 30 kanji already. Whoa! Like, yeah, it's going by fast. So this one here is a picture of a thumbnail. And a thumbnail was seen as something that was white or something very light. So when you have it by itself, this is white. When you have a person, a white person, this means count. Not like counting numbers, but like Count Dracula, like the vampire. But a count is somebody who has status. There's a history in China about this actually. If you are very light skinned, then it meant that you weren't laboring outside in the fields and you weren't getting dark or tan. So if you were very white or very light, then you were seen as royalty. So that's the idea of count. When you have the aggressive hand and the thumbnail, it's beat. Basically, you're tapping something and you're making a beat out of it. White water, this is where people usually would want to stay when they're in the ship. This is a this is road and white. So this is all about the ship. So this is a rowboat, a picture of a rowboat, two people, and there's like a wooden oar in the middle. So this represents together ship. And then with this idea, we have stay and press, because usually when you're about to dock with a ship, either you have to make a decision whether you're going to wait before you dock or if you press forward and you just go to dock. So that's what this is a reference for. White water, stay, and then when you have it with to go through the road, that means to press forward. So that's the idea of that. So that's 36 kanji. This is another kanji. So this is a hand. So this is an X hand, and he's climbing up a cliff. So this means to oppose, representing like to oppose gravity. But when you put it with other kanji, it just means like opposite or something that you're maybe like you're flipping something over. So you're seeing the opposite side. So you have that with earth, that means slope. You have that with tree, that means board, like a wooden board. You have this with food, this is food, cooked rice. You have this with one half of something. So the printing press, you would press the board onto the paper. So this one half being pressed onto something, this is print. And look at this. This was what we had with tribute up here. The seashell, that represents money. So when you have money with turning your hand over or whatnot, means to sell. So it all matches. All these things, they match together like a perfect puzzle piece. Nothing is by accident. They all have a purpose to it. So here's the next one. This is whole. It's a picture of wrapping something. Think about like wrapping like a present with something. So so this is to wrap, but then when you have forceful hand or aggressive hand, it means to embrace. This also means to hug. So to wrap with your arms. This is water. This represents like a bubble or froth. You have it with body. It's placenta. This is the place where the baby grows in the mother's stomach. And they didn't have guns back in ancient China, but they did have cannons. They had cannons. But now, in today's age, you use this for gun. So that's so what is this? This is a picture of stone. So stone that wraps around the the cannon was basically wrapping the ammunition around it. So that's why this means cannon or gun. And then you have food. Well, when you wrap or when you eat yourself full and you're really, really full, you get tired. So this is the idea of food coma. So there's 48 kanji, just like that. Okay, let's keep going. So next is Rei. Rei is a picture of somebody that is bowing down. Bowing down. So bowing down to their superior, actually, because this is them bowing down, and the one on top represents the superior. So when you have this, it means order, right? But it can also mean like, I'm going to order you, but it also means like the order of how things should be done. So when you have ice, these two dots mean ice. This means freeze. When you have metal, this is metal on the left. This is a small bell because ring the small bell and then they bow and they follow their order. This one, age, this one's a little bit complex, but I'll break it up. This is rice that is stuck in a tooth. So this thing on top means to stop. This is a picture of a tooth, and this is rice stuck in the tooth. Represents when babies get older, the order of their teeth coming into their mouth shows their age. That's the idea of that. 0 is rain. Rain does not have much power. It has 0 power, except if it's a big storm. But droplets by itself have 0 power or order or authority. So that's why this is 0. Okay, so we're at 53. How are you doing before I keep going? Does it all make sense? Is it all clicking?
Yeah, though I I probably would have to rewatch more so I can fully process what you're saying to me.
Got it.
Some information, because of how my brain is wired, will escape me.
Yeah,
But yeah,
gotcha. Because you
but yeah,
won't be
my
able to remember all of this, but you'll get
yeah,
the idea, and then you could always watch it back and you can be like, okay, this is 200 kanji. Okay, now I'm
but yeah,
back.
exactly. My memory and information retention gets better the more I rewatch. So yeah,
Cool. Awesome. So here's the next one. We have a pile of stones. So we have hill, pile of stones, obstruct. We have, this is a picture of a shrine. This is a shrine. So laying stones in front of the shrine, ancestor. Now, these two are very similar. This is a rice plant, and this is rice. It's slightly different. Rice plant represents levy or taxes, and rice represents coarse pieces of rice. So that's that. And then you have thread. So you're threading together these stacks of stones. It becomes a group. So that's a group. That's 58. Okay, let's keep going. Okay, so this is Fu. Fu is a picture of person and a sticky hand. Literally, what is this a picture of? This is a picture of a hand that has a piece of rice, piece of wet rice stuck to it. So it's a sticky hand and person. So together, this means attach. When you put a hill here, it also means attach because hills usually attached with other hills. Here on top, it's bamboo. This is a picture of bamboo when it's on top. So this means to tally or to count. And then when you have this on top of it, that's a building. This is a government center. Government center. Now, there's a funny joke in China, ancient China, where they thought that the government was very corrupt. So when you put a piece of meat, and I'll illustrate this really quick. So if I hover over this, you'll see that this means meat, flesh or meat. When you put meat in the government center, it means rot because they used to think the government center was rotten or corrupt, just like how meat can be corrupt when you put it out too long. So that's the idea. of rot. Okay. This is a picture of a hand holding a knife and it's cutting through the skin of an animal. So this means skin. When you have a person in motion doing this, he's doing it. When you have the forceful hand, he's opening up the skin. And then this, it looks like shrine. We're looking at shrine, but it's a little different. Shrine looks like this. There's a little dot here. When you see the little dot, it means there's clothes on top of the shrine. So this means clothing. It's a very small detail, but if you remember it, then you will always remember this as clothing. So he's opening up the animal skin because he's going to use it as clothing to sustain himself. And then you have him opening it up, the skin, but now he's in the hospital. Maybe it's because the idea of the skin in the hospital is that he just got tired because maybe he wasn't. I guess it could be from the idea of contamination or whatnot, but the idea is basically, from doing what he's doing, he ended up kind of like tiring himself up, and now he's in the hospital. Um, there's probably a better story to this, but if I remember, I'll put it out there. Um, so the next one here, this hole by itself, it represents a boat that is facing to the side. So this represents side. And then, so now you have this on top is plants, basically grass plants. This is called the kusakanmuri. It's a grass crown. But whenever you have this crown on top, it represents that there's some sort of plants involved. So fragrance or fragrant.
That 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 one I remember, the one on top, because that's a that that one also has it when you say ego,
Ah,
anger.
yes, that's
Yeah,
right. You're
yeah,
100% correct. Ego. Yes, that's right. You see it
like
right on top. Perfect. Yeah. All right. So fragrant, and then when you have words next to it means visit. When you have this is the hand with a stick to release. You're going to release the boat that's facing there. And then you have hand with a stick and a person. They're just copying each other. Um, imitate. Imitate. All right. So here's the next one. This is a picture of the horns of a sheep on top, and then this is a picture of the face of the sheep. So this is a sheep. You have water. It's ocean. You have a tree and water. Water looks different below. This is water. So the sheep is drinking water, and there's a tree next to him. This means situation. We have sheep and we have food. This means to rear, so to feed animals. And then you have hole. This is the hole from the bow and arrow thing I mentioned earlier. Hole, sheep, and fire. This is kiln, like an old-fashioned oven. So
got it. Also, I can also see sheep in Bokura and in Maho.
uh-huh. Mm-hmm. Yeah, there you go. So that's yeah.
Tomodachi, I think it's Tomodachi.
Mm-hmm. So that's already 78 kanji. All right, here we go. Okay, so now this is Ken. Ken is interesting. Basically, underneath the roof, you have two people and they're talking to each other about something because there's just something that they need to talk about. So here you have a hill. So these two people are talking about how the hill is steep. You have the two people talking about the tree because they want to investigate it. There might be something hidden in the tree. You have two people talking about the horse because they want to examine the horse. They want to make sure it's a good war horse to ride on. You have two people, they're talking about this person because the person, he saves so much money. And they're like, how is this guy so thrifty? Wow. And then we have two people talking about the katana. This here on the right is a picture of a katana. So this is the sword. So that's Ken. There's a famous anime called Rurouni Kenshin, and this is the Ken.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
this is the Ken for Kenshin. Yes.
Though though Hokuto no Ken is that Ken is different, right?
Um, I think that
Hokuto
might
no Ken.
It might be. I'm not familiar with it, but
Like,
maybe.
how it's translated in English is Fist of the North Star.
Oh,
Fist.
this is different. Yes, this is a little
Okay,
bit.
got it.
Yeah, Ken
Thanks
also
for
means
the
fist. Yeah. So, but no, that's good.
thanks for
Question.
clarifying. Got it.
Oh yeah, definitely. Tekken, that's a famous video game. Tekken, the Ken is also the fist, as Hoku Ken or Hoku. Um, same idea. So, but you'll notice that, oh wait, these are the kanji that make up the words of the Japanese language. And I didn't tell you this yet, but once you learn the 2000 kanji, the reason why it helps so much is because it unlocks 80% of all vocabulary words. 80%. 80.
Learning the
80%.
radicals
The
or the
kanji.
1,000 kanjis.
The 2000 kanji. Because
The
you'll know the
2,000 kanjis.
sound
Got
and
it.
you'll
Got it.
just mix them with different things. Like even the things that you've learned already, they're already going to mix and match and make all different kinds of words. Um, so, okay, so now it's say. So say is a picture of a plant, and this just means life. This is a heart. This is heart when it's on the side. So heart next to the plant represents nature. The
Oh
nature.
yeah, what you said that Kokoro looks different.
Yes, that is correct.
Mhm.
That's it. So this nature, it also represents like if somebody, what their sex is, what their gender is. So that's the idea for this one. When you have woman to the left, means surname. And when you have cow, you're going to see this. I promise you, you'll see it very soon. See a cow with it, it means sacrifice. This is a cow. It has a little notch on the left. It's a cow, represents sacrifice. And you are going to see another cow, and it'll also mean sacrifice very soon. Um, anyways, though, you have life, which is the plant, and you have sun. Together, that means star. All right.
Okay, yeah. Hoshi. Yeah. Okay, got it.
Hoshi, yes, that's it. That's the Japanese word. The Chinese, say. Yeah.
Mm.
Yep. So, okay. So next, this one is also a government official kanji, and they also made a joke out of this. Not a lot of people know it, but I'm going to share it with you. So this is like a government official and administrator. But what this is really a picture of, they did not like the government official. This is a picture of an asshole. I kid you not. That is what, and people didn't know, so they kept saying, "I am the governor of this," and it's basically a picture of an asshole, and they'd be like, "Yeah, I am the governor here," but they're saying they're an asshole, and then the person who created this was just laughing, being like, "Yeah." So that's the idea of this. So they didn't know. They didn't know it meant asshole. They didn't know that's what it was a picture of. But so they use this for like, oh, you're government, or okay, this is official. So you have it with person, so visiting. So you're visiting, you're a diplomat, whatnot. Then you have words. So the law or the administration, the government of words. That's what this means, word. This is what you use for like when you say like a noun, adjective, adverb. You'll see this kanji, keishi, doshi, um, represents the type of words. Air. This is a picture of a bookshelf with books or just a book in general. So they would know the government, who is the next king, who is the next person in line by the books. They would look through the history. And then you have food. And there's this idea that the government official had like a lot of pets, so he would also rear animals, feed animals. So you'll notice that there was another one like this up above, rear, and it's with sheep, and you have food with sheep, and this also means to rear animals. They're both the same, um, but they're used just with different words because she sounds better than yol with certain words when you combine different kanji. And sometimes yol will sound better than she. So sometimes you'll see like she or yol for it's the same idea, but
Okay,
yeah,
and and all these kanji, they they all are pronounced she.
yeah, all of these ones. And
Okay.
these are the Chinese readings of it. In Japanese, the Chinese reading is called the On Yomi. Um, that's what it's called. But basically, it means this is the sound that we borrowed from China. Um, If they had a word already for this, they'll just use the normal word like for star, Hoshi. So they had the word Hoshi before they got the kanji from China. So they just use Hoshi for star. But when they use it and they combine kanji with another kanji, then you could say Sei Ko for child of the stars, for instance. Ko
Okay.
for
It's just
child.
that I find interesting that a all these kanji that are so different, when you combine them with other kanji, they are pronounced the same.
Yes, that is correct. Yeah, it's pretty crazy. All right, we're almost at the 100 mark. So here we are. Uh, we got ko, and this is ko. This is to mix. It's a picture of a hand mixing sticks. That's really a hand mixing sticks. So to mix. When you mix power, so this is the bicep power, you have effect. This here, you might recognize it. It looks like hill, but there's a little trick with this kanji. So you notice on the very top, this is hill. So okay, so this is a hill, and you'll notice in different kanji, you'll see hill over and over again, like this. This is a hill, but this same hill, if you put it to the right side of the kanji, it means village. And I've got a really fun way for you to remember it. Just remember you're at the right village. If it's to the right, you're at the right village. Right village. If it's to the left, it means hill. So this is a village where that's mixed up with like has like stores, houses, so it's the suburbs. Um, you have the tree. When you have the tree and you mix sticks together, a long time ago, when people would learn kanji, they would go to their master or their teacher, and the teacher would lay sticks on the ground, and he would tell the student to copy the sticks in the same way that they place down the sticks so that they can learn kanji. So a school is a place where there's a tree and where you mix the sticks so that people could learn kanji. So that's the idea of school. Strangle, this is really funny. You have thread and you have to mix. So it's kind of like somebody choking someone with a piece of string. It's very violent. Um, so this is strangle. So because they're crossing the string over the person's neck. And yeah, so I'll leave it at that. Okay. So at this point, we're at the 100 mark. Um, I did say I wanted to go 30 minutes or so. Um, I want to do two more just so that you can see this, but here we have, yeah, okay. I think I know what I'm going to do. Here we have a picture of hole and to stand on top of. So to stand up on top of a hole. So this represents when you have person, double, so you're trying to get out of the hole. So you want two people so one can get grab you and pull you out. And then when you have earth, this means to cultivate because you're standing over the hole, you're going to grow a garden. So cultivate. And then you have standing over a hole, you have hill, and this is attend because a hole in the ground and a hill, they cancel each other out. So they kind of like, they come together and they kind of like cancel each other out. That's the idea of attend. And compensate, you have money. So you have standing over a hole and you have money. So it's almost like, oh, like I'm in debt. I need, to give money so that I can, compensate, whatever. So that's the idea of compensate. Okay. So what I'm going to do from here on is I'm going to go really fast because I can go maybe another 10 minutes. So within 10 minutes, I'm just going to go down and I'm just going to list the different symbols and the English, but I'm not going to do much else. But that way, when you go over it, you can look at it. You've seen how I've combined the kanji. Now you can try doing it yourself. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm just going to go fast with these next 100. So this is a
Okay.
sun, yeah, this is a sun setting, so it's going down. So sun setting. So sun setting with earth, grave. Sun setting, power, gather. This is just so that when the sun set, people would gather together. Um, this is heart. They messed up. when writing this, but this is supposed to be heart. It was a miscopy. But the sun goes down, you yearn. And the sun goes down, it keeps going down. This represents to live. Here's the next one. This is a picture of a spinal cord. It also represents turning one's back on somebody else. So a person with back, amusement. Um, forcing somebody, and then their back. This is to reject somebody. Small version of spinal cord, the back, and flesh, back, general back. And then you have back, and you have a carriage or a car. So you're together following behind somebody's car or a carriage a long time ago. That's your friend, your fellow. Next is hole. It's a picture of a fence and somebody building a fence really fast. With water, this means coast. Aggressive hand, seas. Clothes, so to fix clothes very quick when they get ripped. Make good. And this is a picture of a little shop and the fence. So shop. Next is good. This is a picture of good food. You put food through a basket. The good part comes out and flows out in the very bottom. So this is good, but it represents like good food, but good in general. So good water is wave. Good moon. This is actually a moon. Clear, clear dark night. And then you have good and right village. This means a good man. So the good man came from the right village, and he's a good man. So that's good man. And then corridor, the good man is underneath the building. He's standing in the corridor. Ma. This is a picture of hemp. Hemp was a plant that they used to manufacture clothing and create things. So by itself, it just means hemp. You put a hand underneath, means rub. When you have stone underneath, it means polish. And then this is a picture of a masked man who is naked and his private parts sticking out in here. So this is a demon, a very mischievous guy.
Whoa.
Yes, that is the history. I know, right? Crazy. We're at 126 kanji almost. So this is a picture of a tree trunk that got chopped up because somebody is making a lot of stuff out of wood. Maybe it's the carpenter, right? So we have a person, and this is the chopped up tree trunk, means he made something. It also means that he probably made it yesterday. So this is a sun. This happened yesterday. This is a really fun kanji. This is the radical of a sake jug. So sake jug, you have that made vinegar. And this is a pictograph. So it's just a picture. You have an aggressive hand, a hole, and this is wringing like a piece of cloth that is really wet. So this is to wring. Okay, next one. Teki. This is the old emperor. This is old on the bottom here, and this is emperor on top. He stands above everybody. When the emperor says to go down a road, the road that he tells you to go on is always suitable. When the emperor uses his aggressive hand, he always plucks something. When the old emperor, when he's, well, it can be different things, but let's say he's crying, the water, it drops. It's like a teardrop, basically. And then we have the old emperor, and he has a hand with a stick. If the old emperor is going to battle, or if he's telling you to go to battle, then it's going to be a good match. Teki is also enemy. That's actually like a word. So that's the idea of that. Next, this one is interesting. It's a picture of a double-lidded lunchbox. It's not a sun. It looks like a sun, but it's a double-lidded lunchbox, and it means that you can eat once and you can eat again. You can eat 2 times. And then you have a dragging foot underneath, means you can take your time. You can be slow, unlike what I'm doing because I'm going fast. But so you have a person in motion, and they have the double-lidded lunchbox again. So he's going to go around again. He's going to patrol the area again. He's going around again and again. This is clothing because it's shrine with a little dot, and the little dot means that it's cloth. So when it's cold, you wear double layers of clothing. So that's the idea of double. Flesh or body. Well, you're going to be eating twice. And where is that food going to go? It's going to go in your belly. And lastly, when you have basket and person in motion, this represents when you turn the double-lidded lunchbox over because you flip it over and then you eat again because there's a second meal. So now you're going to overturn it, turn it around upside down, then you're going to eat again. So that's fuku, 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 fuku. So there you go. All right. This one is interesting. It seems really, really crazy, but it's not. I was explaining this to the other person earlier. This is a picture of a sheep. So sheep was up here, all the way up here. Where are we, sheep? This is a sheep. So the sheep was up here, and then you have a hand, and then you have a spear in your hand. So you'll notice that there's something attached to hand. It's a spear in your hand. So basically, what righteousness is a sheep with a spear in its hand. Now, a lot of people can see this as a biblical thing. It's an interesting coincidence, but I'll just leave it at that. So a sheep with a spear in its hand means righteousness. When you have a person that is righteous, he's going through a ceremony. When you have righteousness being talked about, there's a discussion. And there's the cow. When righteous sacrifices happen with a cow, that's the idea of a sacrifice. So I did tell you that you'll see a cow again with sacrifice. Last time you saw it with life, which is up here. This is
Hmm.
sacrifice. And then it all connects. This is just to prove kanji all connects. They all connect.
Are are both acceptable, or one is archaic?
Both of them are acceptable. Sometimes they'll just use it because they have a different pronunciation, and sometimes it sounds better to use gi. Sometimes they'll be better to use say, but they're both equal. So,
Got.
yep. Okay, so let's look at temple. Temple is a picture of two hands, and I showed kind of the two hands here. Hand here and a hand here. And then this represents that in the temple, they would be moving their hands very, 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 very quickly. So fastidious hands, very quickly, using your hands very quickly. So this is a temple. When the person that's at the temple is the samurai, you got the aggressive hand for the 100th time. It's used for hold because in the temple they would be um, they had like these bamboo tablets, documents, and they would be holding them. They'd be going through taxes. They'd be doing all this work with it. So this is the aggressive hand is hold, and we have the sun. This is time because the sun works 24/7. It keeps going around and around and around and around, and that's how they drew the picture of time.
Okay, I see it clear now because the suggestive movement of the hands
Mhm.
is suggesting that the sun is uh, rolling around 24/7.
Yes, that's correct.
Okay, got it. Okay.
Exactly. Now, this is another kanji that a lot of people are afraid about, but it's very easy. I listed here. This is six. So this is when you touch your hands together and you make like a triangle, you'll notice that like you have like six fingers touching. So that's the idea of six. We saw this earlier with well. So if you look up in the very beginning, we have well, which was here. This is the well. But in this instance, in 138, or sorry, this one here, this is just supposed to be a pictograph, a picture of a basket. So this is six baskets, and this is supposed to be clothing. Clothing, I want to make it a little bit more accurate. Let me see if I can do it really quick. If not, the other one's fine too. I don't mind using that. So basically, the true version of clothing, it has like a little lid on top, but don't worry because this doesn't. But this represents clothing. Anyways, this is a picture of what happens when you have dirty laundry and you just throw your clothes together and it makes a big hill. That's what this is supposed to be like a picture of. It's kind of like the clothes are all over each other. So this represents six baskets of clothing. It just means there's a lot. it's like excessive. But let's look what happens when you mix it with different kanji. So you have earth with 6 baskets of clothing, it's earth. Woman with 6 baskets of clothing, young lady. Words with 6 baskets of clothing. This is different. Hand over, because it's like you're admitting something. You're like, okay, I give up. Okay, you're right. That's the idea of like handing over. Um, and then this one, this is the sake jug, and with it means brew. So once you start seeing the kanji as not so scary, like righteousness, it looks scary. But when you know it's just a sheep, a hand with a spear, that's it. You can see it. And with 6 baskets of clothing, it's the same thing. 6 baskets of clothing, 6 baskets of clothing, earth, young lady, hand over, and brew. Because that's the sake jug. Okay, so here's the next one. This one here, this one, it looks very, very close to something we just looked at. This is row. But the only difference is there's a little dot on top. So this is another one. Very few kanji you have to worry about with this, but there's this little dot on top. This means good because the food is going down and then the good food comes out in the bottom. And then with this one, kon, this is actually a completely different picture. It's somebody who has tangled feet because they're looking at something and they're like, oh, I don't really know. I don't know. I'm not sure. It could also mean to retreat because they're like running away. So when you have that and you have heart on the left, this means resent. When you have a tree, well, the tree has tangled roots. It keeps it in place. It's the root. This is a dangerous beast on the left, and this is earth. Dangerous beast, earth, and then you're kind of like you can't move, or maybe you're going to retreat or not. This means to cultivate, which means like, okay, we're going to try to make sure that we'll make this beast our friend, you know. Um, and then also, what ends up happening? Well, you succeed because you give the beast your heart. So this is kokoro, or heart. This is how it looks like below. And then when you give the beast your heart, you're able to cultivate a relationship with the beast. So now the tiger becomes your friend. So we have courtesy and we have cultivate. So that's what that is. But in the beginning, you're standing because you're like, oh, I don't know if I want to, but you end up doing it. So that's the idea of kon. So we're already at the 150 mark. Can you believe it? Almost at 200. But yeah, let's keep going. Okay, so you. This is very complex, but all I'm going to mention about this is that it's supposed to be a picture of a boat that sails off to sea, and it means to transport. Um, Basically, there's a bigger story behind it, but if you take my word, trust me, it'll all make sense. So, transport. So, when you have hearts and you transport your heart, you give joy. When you transport your words, you instruct or you teach. When you transport with a car, this is a car or a carriage, it basically means transport. And when you transport somebody to the hospital, this is a hospital, and you give your heart out, you cure them. So that is you, all that. So here's the next one. Chu. This means middle or center because it's an arrow that's shooting straight into the middle of a target. So middle. When you have a person, when you're in the middle of a relationship with a person, relationship. When you're in the middle of water or the middle of the ocean, you're in the open sea. And when you pledge your loyalty to somebody, then your heart is right on center with that loyalty. So that is loyalty right there. Okay, next. This is a picture of two people, two mouths. There's a big mouth that's on the outside, and there's a little mouth on the inside, and they're saying hi at the same time, all at once. So you see the one. So same time. Now this is being used now as a pictograph for the other things. You have this as a pictograph. It looks like a cave because the water is going into the like the cave of an island. Here, this also, you can look at it as part of the body. That's your torso. So this represents like your body in general. and then you have the body, and then you have the metal. So this actually means like the same metal, copper. Copper was very common. So there's that. Okay, so let's keep going. We have next the forceful hand or the aggressive hand. This is a picture of an axe cutting down a tree, and then the axe is lodged into the tree trunk. So when you cut down a tree, well, it starts bending over and then it breaks. So that's this one. Clumsy, this is a picture of two mountains. So I'm going to put that here. So Yama, let's go Yama. Yama, this is a mountain. When you have two mountains together, it's Shutsu, which is to emerge, to come out. So when you're forcefully putting your hands out very quickly, you end up being clumsy. Now these last two, I'm going to say these are more of the kanji that are maybe more adult themed, but I'll go ahead and I'll share it. So take is a picture of aggressive hand, and you have an ear. So that aggressive hand is literally ripping off someone's ear and the blood is coming out here. So that is to take. So
Interesting as hell.
yeah. And this one, contact, this deals with, yes, another adult theme thing. So you have aggressive hand, you have woman, and you have to stand. Now this is a very sensitive kanji, but the idea of mating together, or that kind of contact with these symbols, you could probably imagine how all three can come together to represent contact in that kind of sense. So that is Setsu. Okay, so next one here is Han. Han is literally you're just cutting something in half and the blood is spurting on the left side and on the right side. So half. So cutting something in half. Person and half means a company. You're not alone. You're with somebody else. So you're one half and there's another half. So it's not brutal. It's not brutal. It's kind of nice. Then like the half between different fields. This is fields. So the ridge, right? Between the fields. And then judgment. So this is a katana. We saw this with Ken up here. Let's see, where are you, Ken? Ken is all the way up here. But we saw the sword, right? Two people speaking about the sword. This is a katana. You're going to see it here too. Right. Wow, look how much kanji you went through. Right here. So that's the sword and it's cutting something in half. This means to judge. So a long time ago, they would cut cloth and that would represent judgment. So we're already at 172 kanji. So now we're going to go to the next one. Old. So it's a picture of, this is a child here. It's a picture of a child. Their head is up and their arms are going outward. But now when you're old, it's the opposite of being a child. So now they turn child upside down. And this is why this means old. So young child, and we have old right here. So when you have tree and old, you have wither. When you have old and the hand with a stick, that represents your past, your regrets, past regrets, the old things from back when, past. And lake is one of the most beautiful and poetic kanji. You have water here. You have, this is the moon. In this case, it's the moon. And you have upside down. So this represents when you look at a lake, you see the moon, but it's not the moon. It's just a reflection of the moon. It's the moon that's upside down, and you see it through the surface of the lake. So this represents water, moon, and upside down. And that's the idea of lake. It's beautiful kanji. I really like it. So next, 180. Okay, so remember a long time ago how I said there's a hand with a spear? Well, this is the same thing, but it's just abbreviated a little bit different. So the hand is up here, right on top, looks like a little cross, but it's a hand with a spear. So you have a hand with a spear with a tree. That means you're planting the tree. You're digging digging a hole to plant. you have judge, which is this is what I was trying to make earlier. Cloth. This is clothing, and this is a hand with a spear. It's going to cut the cloth. It's the same thing
But
as this judgment, but this one's with a
like
sword.
like tearing off a cloth is a way to judge somebody or shame somebody.
Yes, yes, exactly.
Got
That's
it.
it. And then now you have this with hand with a spear, and you're loading it onto a car or a carriage. So this is loading it. This one's a more advanced kanji, but I'll just tell you what it means, and you can probably look it up later. But this is a stopped foot, so this means to stop. And this is a shrine. So every year, like the Chinese New Year, everybody takes time to stop and celebrate. So that's the idea of stopping and the shrine. So that's the year. All right, we're almost there. Just a little bit more. My throat is dying, but it's okay. We got this. So next is we have trillion. Trillion is a picture of throwing a bunch of seed out into the field. That's what trillion is. So represents a lot. And now when you have that with the aggressive hand, this means challenge. Okay. When you have it with a foot, I'll go ahead and I'll type foot really quick. This is a foot. This is a kneecap. The square is a kneecap. And then that's your heel on the left. That's your toe on the right. So it's a picture of a foot. So foot with trillion, spring to action, because you're using a trillion, kind of pieces of energy from your foot to spring forward. And then trillion and eye. This is a picture of an eye. This is to gaze at somebody. So trillion, aggressive hand, challenge. Foot, to spring into action. Use your eye to
Like
gaze.
the trillion means to suggest that you see beyond the surface.
Yes, yes,
Okay.
very powerful. Okay, so we're almost there. Next is Cho. So this is a picture of, I'm going to show you something. So, okay, and then Fufu. So when people get older, they would get long hair, kind of like how my hair is getting longer. Um, and then this is big, and that's when somebody would have long hair, so they would have one hairpin. When they got older, this is the kanji for husband. So they're older now. Now they have two hairpins. In this kanji, it shows somebody with three hairpins, but now they look really weird. So like, why is their legs messed up and everything? Well, it's because they're really old, and this is a cane on the left. They're holding a cane to hold themselves up, and they're like an old person. So, but they have very, very long hair. So that's the story of Chol. So we have long right here, and then you have, this is a picture of a bow for a bow and arrow. So what do you do with a bow? You stretch out the bow string so you can shoot. So this is stretch. This is a banner or like a piece of cloth that is hanging. So you would use this long piece of cloth to write the names of all the people who are registered into something. So this is register. And then swell. So you have your body, when it elongates, it's inflamed. Well, it's swollen. So there's that. All right. Next is cho. This is just an intersection in the road. So you'll notice that here it just means block. And then when you have fields with it, this is town. And when you have a head with this one is, it's more complex, and it has history of when somebody becomes king, and you kind of put like a crown on top of their head. That's the idea. There's a bunch of other kanji that tie in historically to it, but just take my word for it. This is the picture of like the intersection where the crown meets the head. So you receive the crown. And then here, this is the block where the government office is. So it shows the building of the government office. There's that. Now, this one is really fun because as of today, right now we're in the year of the dragon, and this is the kanji for dragon. But it's also supposed to be a picture of a clamshell that has like little hairs that are sticking out of it, and it represents farming. But in this family, there's also this interesting kind of like sensual, um, kind of like uh, I would say a sensual association because of the words that end up coming from it. So this one, the first one is pretty easy. Wave. So this is like an aggressive hand or a forceful hand, and you're just waving. You're saying hi to somebody. So that's nothing bad. Like, oh, hi, hello, wave. But then we have different things. We have lips, which has a mouth underneath. We have woman to the left of it, and we have rain, which represents shaking. So there's this idea, and it's just like, again, hasn't been proven, but because these things are very sensual kanji, shaking, pregnancy, and lips kind of also have this idea that it may be related to mating, this idea of mating. Um, so that's the idea of this, all of this pregnancy, lips, and shaking. Why it deals with a dragon or why it deals with a clamshell, I would think that the clamshell, if you're relating it to sensuality, that the woman, the clamshell represents like herself kind of like opening herself up to be impregnated or whatever. So that's the idea of that, lips and then shake. So that's all from that. And then finally, we're at the 200 mark of kanji. Woohoo! We made it, and it's just been 1 hour and about 1 minute. So good. We'll keep this. So this here is a picture of literally somebody talking. It's like a mouth, and there's a line drawn down the middle, and it represents like to say something. It also can represent from heaven to earth, this idea from above down to below. So when you have it by itself, it just means to say something. When you have a person and you have like from heaven to earth, or it's stretching, it's this idea of like stretch because you're going all the way up. Now it's starting to become more religious because we have God and we have a shrine here and we have the idea from heaven to earth or to stretch. So it's like the altar is your phone line to God in a weird way. And then finally we have a gentleman, and this represents somebody who has, so this thread, it represents a belt. And gentlemen, when they're wearing their robes, they always wear a belt. They don't have their belt off, so their robes can just like fly open or whatever. So that's the idea of gentlemen. So there you go. In about an hour, we went over 200 kanji, which is 10% of all kanji. Um, yeah, before I end this recording and put it out there, anything that you'd like to say or real good?
Mhm. No, so far so good. And and thanks also thanks for taking the time
Oh yeah,
to
no
show
problem.
me all these similarities and relationships with kanji to
Awesome.
to learn it quicker.
You bet. I'm glad it helps. All right.